by Pfizer and BioNTech. It's a mass vaccination programme that will now begin next week. Been announced. The Health Secretary Matt Hancock said 800,000 doses would be given to the most vulnerable patients starting next week. Well, Dr. Barrett Pancania from the University of Exeter and former consultant in communicable disease control in Gloucestershire is back with us to help us guide through. And the questions that have also come in for Dr. Pankhania, it's not too late if you want to call or text now and see if he's able to answer some of these questions. He's, as ever, brilliant at explaining it in everyday language as well. Hello, good afternoon to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
So what's your reaction then to the vaccine news today then?
It's very good news, and it's tremendous that scientists in less than a year can manufacture vaccines on a completely new platform. In other words, a new type of vaccine. That's fantastic science, and it just shows what we can achieve if we collaborate and work together.
Yes, I mean, this is what, perhaps at like no other time, we've been very aware of all the scientists around the world, all sort of working on this one goal. But there are people asking, why has this process been so quick? Is it too quick? Have they missed out some important safety issues? There's all that sort of things that sometimes think, hang on a minute, do you understand people's reticence sometimes?
I do. And if I may reassure our listeners, whilst the process may have been speeded up, it is not that safety or corners have been cut, not at all. The reason it has been speeded up or been able to speed it up is money. A bottomless pot of money was thrown at this, and therefore all those hurdles of setting up the experiments from phase 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, recruiting a lot of people and doing the rapid analysis, etc., was all speeded up with lots of money thrown at it. And that's why we have an answer in a shorter time, not because we cut corners.
Wow, it's interesting to think, isn't it, how much that money might hold things back then in other times. It's really sort of got different perception things on things. Right, if you don't mind, and feel free if any of these are not for you, but people are asking questions, and so I thought I'd see if you're able to help with any of these. That would be very helpful, thank you. Barry in Frampton-on-Severn says, have any of the vaccines been tested on people who've already contracted COVID-19? Any news if these people will be required to have these vaccines?
Yes, I can answer that. So, Barry, we wouldn't, as part of our experiments, test it on people who had already been infected, because that would not give us the answers that we are looking for. Having said that, when the mass immunization program starts, we are not going to sit there and say we're only going to immunize people who have not been infected. It would be a program to immunize everyone, whether you've had the infection or not. So the people who have had the infection, all that they would be receiving is a boost to their immune system. It's very difficult otherwise to say who does get it, who doesn't get it. And people who have been infected, and when they are immunized, it doesn't mean that they're going to be harmed or they're getting too many doses of the vaccine, etc. It's a perfectly safe thing to do.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that. Somebody else says, I've heard lots of things about the vaccine. One being that if your immune system is compromised, you can't have it. Is that correct?
No, not at all. The understanding has to be that if your immune system is suboptimal, meaning not working very well, which is the case in the elderly and people who are severely immune compromised or have got other illnesses, they don't mount a good immune response. That doesn't mean we don't give it to them, or that doesn't mean it won't work in them. It just means that they may need more than the 2 doses of the scheduled immunization program. But it isn't a contraindication to people who have got suboptimal immune systems.
Obviously, we're hearing, like perhaps no other, that we're hearing about different vaccines that are now coming into play from different areas, different firms, different things. Is there any sense that one is better than another, that people would want to go that route rather than that route, and would they be able to choose anyway?
No, it's like being in a sweet shop all of a sudden, isn't it? And I would say all sweets are nice. So with respect to the vaccines, whichever one comes your way, be grateful and take it. The one that may be deployed sometime soon, the AstraZeneca Oxford one, is a lot easier to give and a lot easier to give in large numbers very, very quickly. So that's the one I see as being the one that breaks the back of the pandemic. The Pfizer, Moderna ones are slightly difficult to give, but nevertheless, we can do what we can do and immunize as many people as we can with either the Pfizer one, the Moderna one, and then when the AstraZeneca Oxford one and the Moderna ones are licensed, use them as well.
Right, stay there if you will. Lots of other questions coming in and lots to find out. Dr. Barrett Pancania is with us and answering your questions. We're learning and having more things explained, in the heat of this news that's come out today. So if you would like to ask a question then of Dr. Barrett Pancania, then you can text us. That's fine, but you need to be quick. Text GLOS, GLOS, and what you want to ask to 81333, or you can call it 0800 121 7575. More to come. Thank you. Sorry, it was a little bit late connecting with you. We couldn't quite get through, but thank you so much for that. We'll come back in just a moment, if that's right. So there's other questions coming in. And
sure.
As ever, I always feel better having spoken to you. I always feel like, oh, okay, the world's not quite so mad. Very grateful for your calm approach. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Give me a sign. Catch my breathing even closer behind. In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Smell like a sound, I'm lost in a cloud, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Straddle the line, discord and rhyme. I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Mouth is alive, juice is like wine, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Start through the forest, too close to hide. I'll be upon you by the moonlight side. Heart not drumming on your skin, it's so tight. You feel my heat, I'm just a moment behind. In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Scent of the sound, I'm lost and I'm found, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Start on the line, discord and rhyme. I howl and I whine, I'm after you. Mouth is alive, burning inside, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Burning the ground, I break from the crowd. I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. I smell like a sound, I'm lost and I'm found, and I'm hungry like the wolf. Start on the line, discord and rhyme. I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Mouth is alive, juice is like wine, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
Duran Duran and Hungry Like the Wolf. It's Anna here, BBC Radio Gloucestershire, and with me Dr. Barrett Pancania, who joins me then via Skype. Obviously the latest news hot off the press, the latest sort of milestone in the pandemic. is this mass vaccination programme that has been announced. Britain, the first country in the world, the UK medicines regulator, to have approved the coronavirus vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. And the mass vaccination programme will begin next week. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, saying 800,000 doses will be given to the most vulnerable patients. With that, of course, then you want sort of more information or get your head around it all. And unfortunately, we have the man who can tell us that. That's Dr. Barrett Pancania from the University of Exeter and former consultant in communicable disease control in Gloucestershire. So coming back to you then, and I think this is an interesting point. Mike says there's never been a cure for a virus in the past. How come they found one now?
I wonder what Mike means by cure, because we often have people infected with viruses and then they get better. So it isn't a cure, but it is a case of we manage the infection, and we manage the infection better by giving you an immunization. So your body's own immune system fights off the virus. In fact, for Mike to know, if we did not have vaccines, we would still be dying from smallpox, polio, measles, meningitis. Meningitis is a bacteria, by the way, but there are so many infectious diseases that we have conquered by the use of vaccines. And that's how we've always managed, is we give you a tool, i.e. the immune system, to fight off the viruses that come your way.
Do you worry about, the myths that come out about vaccines, vaccinations? Do you worry because there has to be a certain level, doesn't it, of people who take up the vaccine for whatever condition they're attacking, in order for it to be successful and to be at its peak?
Yes, I do.
Success.
But in this case, I'm not too worried, and my reasons are. I need to get 50, 60, 70% immunized for the level of circulating virus in the community to fall. And I'm pretty confident that most people, given the right advice, the right knowledge, the right reassurances, will want to get immunized. So I won't be spending a lot of my energy on trying to persuade people who are going to absolutely refuse to get immunized for whatever reasons. There are many other people who are going to be queuing up to be immunized, and I'll focus on what we would call easier to achieve outcomes faster.
Now, this mass vaccination programme that's been announced by the Health Secretary, saying that the 800,000 doses initially will be given to the most vulnerable patients. Does that mean people who have other conditions that make them particularly vulnerable, or is it the elderly? Can you see a sort of a sense of what criteria the stepping down will be?
Yes, this is going to be complex, because this vaccine also is a little bit complicated in that it has to be kept at minus 70 degrees centigrade. That's super, super cold. It needs specialist refrigeration. And then after we have thawed it, it will be good enough for 5 days at 3 to 5 degrees centigrade in a normal refrigerator, i.e., clinical refrigerator. And therefore, and also it comes as a big batch. So once thawed, we need to immunize as many people as we can with that vaccine. And how do you do that for the very ill, people in nursing homes, residential homes who are not allowed to go out because they're shielding, etc. So it is going to be a big logistics issue of how we achieve this. And we have some clever people who will be working on how best to get the vaccines into the most vulnerable people as quickly as possible.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing about the Oxford vaccine. It seems that the temperature, this massively cold temperature that the current vaccine we're talking about here has to be put under, they don't it doesn't seem to have to be that way with that vaccine, isn't it? And that potentially could have a lot of very positive implications for what you're saying, for getting it out there, for storage, for moving it, for getting it to people.
Yes, you are so right. And once the AstraZeneca Oxford one is licensed, it will be the immunization program will be considerably speeded up, because then you can have mass immunization centers where otherwise fit and healthy people can in a controlled manner be brought in, immunized quickly, and leave. And it would be a good planning exercise to get this right, of having a good throughput of a lot of people in a short time with this AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. Um, and that will happen. It's just a matter of time.
This is a huge question, but you appreciate why I would ask it, why anybody would ask it. Is this the genuine turning point that we've all been desperately hoping for? Is this the thing that might get us out of this situation, a goal that can be now in sight?
I think so, and I feel positive that we have a armamentum whereby if the vaccine protects a large number of people, then what will happen is the level of circulating virus in the community goes down, and therefore instead of a large outbreak, we can expect smaller but easier to manage outbreaks. And that's how I see the short term, which is the large countrywide outbreaks are brought under control. I can still expect smaller sporadic outbreaks whilst the vaccination program unfolds. But it has to be, and this is very, very important, you have to immunize people here in the UK as well as people abroad, so that internationally and nationally the level of circulating virus is brought down, and then therefore you have only minor outbreaks rather than large outbreaks.
Thank you, as ever, very much for your time. It's so helpful to have that explanation and have questions answered by you. Thank you, Dr. Barrett Pancania, then from the University of Exeter, former consultant in communicable disease control in Gloucestershire, guiding us through the latest news then as we enter Tier 2 with the very good news that the UK medicines regulator has approved the coronavirus vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. This mass vaccination programme will begin next week. The Health Secretary Matt Hancock saying 800,000 doses will be given to the most vulnerable patients initially.
Anna King.